Hello and welcome back to my channel where every day is Halloween. I'm Chelsea and here we talk about horror movies, paranormal stories, and all whilst I do my makeup. If you would, please subscribe down below because I'd really appreciate it. And also while you're down there, hit the like button and leave a comment once you finish watching this because I'd really appreciate it. So, today's video we will be talking about the black-eyed children. I have wanted to do this video for some time now and kind of get into more of the paranormal side of my channel. So far, if you would like, I have 3, I believe, videos right now of me talking about my own personal paranormal experiences. They're all true, 100%. What have happened to me in my life. I have more to come, more to share, but I want to share with you some of these other people's stories while I do my makeup, so let's get into it. So we're going to throw on our Bear With Me NYX primer spray. I love this stuff. It smells so good. I got something in my eye. So I am not like the best storyteller in the world, but I want to talk about this with you, and I'm going to give you all the details, in my opinion, of course. I will source whatever I can down in my description. Okay, so while we were putting on our foundation, let's talk about what are black-eyed children. So these are some kind of being. People have speculated that these are some kind of demons or vampires or something paranormal. Some people think maybe aliens. And so many people have so many different thoughts and opinions, of course, as anything that's not 100% like proven or really proven at all. I guess there's no technical proof over this yet, or is there? I don't know, wait till the end. And so it's just kind of, I love hearing people's thoughts and opinions on stuff like this. And like I said, I'll give you my thoughts and opinions. So this was black-eyed children. I will give you kind of a rundown of like what they are, like what they do. So most of the time these are kids that are between the ages of like 6 and 13, give or take a few years, but basically just they're children. And most notably what they do is they show up at your house in, say, the middle of the night, and these children will knock on your door and they will ask you to let them in, to use the phone, ask if their parents are there, ask if you can help them. They will say that they're lost. I mean, just anything that a kid would say, supposedly, this is all supposedly, to anything a kid would say to let you in their house without you like thinking twice, you know, because almost anyone wants to like help a child. And so most people will say that they feel like a uncertainty, or like they feel like uneasy, like when these kids are around. They're like, it doesn't feel like they're just kids. We feel very uneasy, very unsafe, scared, just everything you would feel with, I don't know, just something very unknown. Or like if you think you see a shadow out of the corner of your eye, or like a spirit or some kind of ghostly encounter, like imagine how you would feel, like frightful, like just unaware of the situation. You don't really know how to feel because you don't know if what you're seeing is like real. And that's how these people feel. And once they start to feel that like, oh, like gut-wrenching, like what's happening, they say they look at the children and they have black eyes. Like not just like, you know, like your eye color, like black, like literally black, like they're wearing like scleras, I think that's what they're called, what people wear, like social repose, where it's like covering your whole eyes like black. And I just think that's like so crazy. And I guess nowadays, like people, you can just buy that off the internet, and like people wear those all the time in like videos and for different pictures and stuff. But there are stories that range back to like 1970, and I think even back to like 1930. I'm sure there are stories that go back probably further than that, but as far as I could find, it was all within the 1900s, and most notably in 1996. I will tell that story in a second. So these people, they will see that these kids have black eyes, and they will say, sorry, we can't let you in for whatever reason, just like, or it's just our house, like we don't want to let you in, sorry about it. And these kids will start to freak out, and they will like scream and bang on the door, or they'll just sit there and stay there and they won't leave, and they just really want in. But the thing is they have to ask to come in. So they will say like, you must let us in, you must allow us to come in, you must ask us to like enter your home or your space or whatever. So I like, that's kind of interesting, because when I hear that, I definitely think of like what you think of like vampires, like they have to ask, they have to be allowed into your house. So I find that interesting, because I feel like if this was like a demon or something, like they could just do whatever they want. But maybe demons have those rules too, and people don't realize. Maybe you are letting them in your, you know, your space in your house. And I would also like to preface this video, I should start off with this. I am a open-minded, skeptical, what's the word? Positive person. Like, not even positive. There's another word I was looking for. Basically, I'm very open-minded about all of this. Like, if it is all true, like, cool. Like, I want to learn about all of it because it's so interesting to me. There's everything. Black-eyed children, vampires, werewolves, ghosts, just anything and everything. Like, Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, skinwalkers, everything. If it's all true, cool. But if it's not all true, still, that's fine too, because like I just find the stories interesting and kind of like where this stuff comes from and kind of the folklore of it. So I am a very open-minded skeptical. There was another word I was going to use, but I don't know what it was, and I almost bet before the end of this movie, or this movie, yes, before the end of my movie here, I will probably remember it and randomly just throw it out there, because that's how my brain works. So I just wanted to throw it out there, because some people hear this kind of stuff, like my husband, he doesn't really believe in this kind of stuff, and when he hears these kind of stories, he's like, okay. But like, these are real people's stories. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these types of things really happen to people. I have stories on this channel that some people would be like, okay. And I'm like, you don't need to believe it. I'm just literally telling you what happened to me. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, you have to believe me. I'm just literally telling you, like, I saw this happened to me, this is my life. Take it or leave it. So I never try to judge people's stories. Now, I mean, if you're trying to like, you know, make a bunch of money off something, then it's kind of like, okay, like it's harder to believe if someone's trying, which I guess I'm making literally YouTube. But I mean, I'm not making any money off this. Anyway, that's kind of funny I just said that. But I mean, there are different reasons I could see like somebody making something up, but overall, it's just very interesting to me, even when it goes to like other things like spirits and ghosts, and how even before the internet, so the internet is a big thing because you can read stuff from all around the world and then maybe imagine things, or maybe even you have a story and you don't know what it is, but you hear a story over here and they know what it is, and you're like, oh, that happened to me, and now I have a name to put to it, or like a way to explain what happened to me, which I think that's really cool too. But I don't know, I digress. I just think it's cool that people from all around the world, all different time periods throughout life, have had like some similar situations happen to them, and no one knows the cause or the reasons or what these things are or who these people are. You know what I mean? I find that so interesting, and that's why I love delving into this kind of stuff, because it's like, well, what is it? Like, is this like a group of people that are causing this? Is this like just an animal that we haven't discovered yet? Like, is this like a real thing? Like, is this really, are these kids possessed? Are they vampires? Like, can vampires only be children? And maybe it's all backwards from like what we see in Hollywood, because they say that like vampires can't be children because children can't behave and like just not basically kill everyone in, you know, the neighborhood. So, but what if it's backwards and it's like children of the corn vampires, and only children can be vampires? And if you hit a certain age and up, you can't be a vampire, and they only kill you and suck your blood, take your money, whatever. I mean, really, I don't know, leave your thoughts down in the comments, because I want to know, guaranteed. Okay, I want to throw in some powder. So, going back to my reference on 1996, so what made Black-Eyed Children, even where the word and name came from, was a reporter down in Abilene, Texas. His name was, you know, I'm going to have to look it up because I can't remember this stuff. His name was Brian Bethel. Is Brian Bethel. I think he's still alive. I don't know. I'm not looking that up, but I think he's still alive. This was only 1996, and I will give you his story. This is just from what I remember from just watching a lady. This is a video, so I will share the video. I thought this lady had other videos. I got so excited. She has like 1,000, like a little over 1,000 subs. And she literally like watched a podcast that interviewed this guy. She wrote down exactly his story verbatim, like from what he said, and just cut out all of the like and you knows and you know what I mean, when people are trying to tell a story like the shit I do while I'm talking. So she cut that all out and she put verbatim, wrote down like his story and then told it on her channel, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. So I will put her stuff down below, but she doesn't, she has literally 2 videos, and I'm like, I would love, she is a good storyteller. I loved it. So if I am able to, I don't know how to, I need to learn how to link things below. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm here. All right, we're going to put on some powder. So I'm going to tell you his story. And I think that he's a reporter, which you pointed this out too. I think that him being a reporter makes it just a little bit more credible because, I don't know, it's like that's literally his like job, or maybe, but also maybe reporters, like maybe he was just trying to get a story or something together and he just like made this up, but it didn't seem like it. It sounded like legit. So this name Brian, he's a reporter down in Texas, and he stated that down Texas back in 1996, I was a whole 1 year old, which so was that girl that made that video, which is kind of funny. Anyway, and this guy, he was down Abilene, Texas. He said that he was heading to the post office, I think, or no, he was paying his electric bill. That's what it was, back when he had dial-up. This was right when the internet was like kind of becoming social, I think. I feel like, again, I was 1, I think that's when it was popping, because he did put his story on the internet, I believe. And because again, he's a reporter too, so he also has, you know, that reporter. I'm pretty sure he filed a thing, like he told the world about it. Like he's very like popular amongst the black-eyed children thing, because that's literally what he called them. That's why they're called black-eyed children, because of this Brian man. So Brian, he is telling the story. He is heading to his local internet provider, and it's next to a movie theater. Like it's like in a strip mall. There's a movie theater where he pays his electric. God dang it, his internet. And he's in his truck. I believe he said a truck. And he's sitting in the parking lot. He hasn't got out yet. And these kids come up to him. Now, these kids, he said, are between the ages like 9 and 13. You know, you can't ever tell a kid's age. Sometimes they look older, sometimes they look younger. But about those ages. He said the one was like freckles, pale, redhead. He was kind of standing in the back, kind of standoffish, wasn't talking. And that the other kid was, he seemed like a little bit older, maybe. Not older than 9, but like the one might be like 9, the other one might be like 13. And you can see these little floaties around, but I think it's from my powder. And that these kids, they came up to him. The one in the back wouldn't talk. The one in the front did talk. And he said they were very pale, and they just seemed like kind of normal kids at first. He was like, okay, whatever. And so he said he just cracked down his window a little bit because he assumed that the only thing these kids would want is like money, because like there's a movie theater right here, whatever. Like why would these little kids be approaching a grown man? Like that's weird. And so they knocked on the door of the window. He turns, he puts his, which is funny that he's like in a car too, because the other like black-eyed children stories that you hear on the internet or on YouTube videos or whatever, for the most part, are all people in houses. And I will share with you some different stories I got off Reddit as well, which I love Reddit. And so I thought it was just interesting that he was in a truck, and that's kind of like one of the like OG stories, and the other people usually have them come to their door. But anyway, I digress. So they knock, he puts his window down a little bit, and they're like, hey, mister. They were like, can you spare us some money so that we can, no, not even spare it. They said, let us in your truck. They said, can we get in your truck and you drive us just down the road to our parents' house, because we forgot to get money from our parents before we came here, or before they dropped us off or whatever. So basically the parents dropped him off, forgot to give them money. They need the money to see the video or the movie. And they didn't ask him for money. They wanted to specifically get in his truck so he could drive them somewhere else. And he's like he already was like very standoffish from this, because he's just like, it's just weird, these kids are approaching me. He was like feeling bad vibes from the beginning, and he's like, I just don't know about this. So he's feeling very uneasy about the whole situation here, and he's like, hey, I'm not really like want to let you in my car, you know. And they're like, oh, please, like, just let us in. We really want to go see this. And he's like, okay, well, what movie are you going to go watch anyway? And they were like, Mortal Kombat, which I love Mortal Kombat anyway. Mainly the video game though. I mean, love the movie too, but like mainly the video game. And he was like, okay, well let me look. So he looked up the movie on, would he have a phone then? Where did he look that up at? I don't know. Somehow he looked up the movie, which maybe it was literally on the poster, like out the front. And the last showing of Mortal Kombat was like right now. Like as they were talking, like it already started. And he was like, hey, he basically told the kids, he's like, hey, in between like me driving you to your parents and bringing you back after you get money, explain to them that you're getting in a car with a stranger, which is like stranger danger, like don't we all know? I mean, this was the 90s, it was after the 80s, like come on people, like we all knew stranger danger. And so he's like, it like literally won't even make sense for me to even take you to your parents, so I don't want to put myself in that situation, and I don't, like it just doesn't make sense. And so I guess the kids, he looked away because he was like reading the thing to see like Mortal Kombat whatever, and he looks back as he's like saying that to them, and all of a sudden, and I'm just saying this literally off the top of my head, but the story, this is the gist of the story. And so he looks back and the kid's eyes are black, and he was like, I literally got so scared and was so terrified of these children. And he was like already feeling like very like scared, and like I said in the beginning, like just how people feel when these kids are around. They're like you're literally a child, like I don't know why I feel like this, but I do. And also I forgot to add this, so the kids when they were asking to go with him to jump in the car with him to go to their parents' house, they were like saying, they were like, oh well, we won't like hurt you, like we don't have a gun or anything. Like, what kind of kid says that? And I'm like, okay, either these kids are like demons with their black eyes or vampires or something, or they are literally just like, probably the one that's, well, maybe the one that's talking, maybe both. They're literally psychopaths and they actually want to kill you. I'm like, so either way you dodged a bullet. Either you dodged demons or you dodged psychopaths, and either way, he dodged a bullet. So these kids are like saying these things, whatever. He's like, Mortal Kombat already started, son. Like by the time you get back, you're gonna have like 20 minutes left of the movie. There's literally no point in any of this. So sorry about it, nah, whatever. And the kid starts beating on, not the quiet kid. The quiet kid just stands there the whole time with his black eyes. And they turn black like after they kind of realized that he wasn't gonna let them in the vehicle. And the kid that's been talking the whole time, and he said also that this kid talked like he was like a salesman or something. He said this kid carried himself like he was like a grown adult. And he's like, which again, this kid could either be a demon or he could be, you know what I mean? Like usually kids that are like abused and stuff hold themselves better because they have to mature faster or mature in some ways where they can take care of themselves. So again, this is a demon or an abused child who literally is a psychopath and wants to kill you, but not with a gun. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, as soon as someone's like, oh, I won't hurt you, I don't have a gun, like, all right, like, cool, definitely not getting in my vehicle, thanks though. So this kid starts beating on his window and he's like, let me in, da da da, and he's screaming at him, and he was like, the only way I can get into your vehicle is if you let me in, like, let me in, we're not gonna hurt you, da da da. And this guy is like, I need to get out of here right now, like right the heck now. So he backs up, he's getting out of here, and he said the kid is just screaming and fuming and just like so mad. Now he's just screaming because he can't be on the thing anymore because he pulls back, and the guy just whips out of there, doesn't pay his freaking bill today, and he jets it to his apartment. He gets out of his truck, locks the doors, runs inside, unlocks his apartment, shuts the door, locks his apartment, calls his best friend Chad. Again, I just listened to this, so I remember his best friend's name and everything. I almost I want someone to have a sit-down conversation with Chad too, because I want to know what Chad thinks of all of this. I mean, I don't know. But again, I'm never gonna say anything about anyone's story because I wasn't there, and I wasn't there, point blank period. But I just couldn't imagine my friend calling me and telling me all this, especially when it's like your friend and you know that they like don't have, you know, like they didn't like make this up, they don't lie, or like they don't just make up a story like this to you or tell you the story like out of the what am I even trying to say? I'm like flabbergasted. You just know that they are gonna lie to you and just make up stories, and so you're sitting here like, whoa dude, like calm down, you're home now, it's fine. Like, I just imagine Chad being a very cool, calm, collected, chill, friend, and we appreciate Chad, so thank you, Chad. Shout out to Chad. So, I don't know, I just think that story is just so crazy, because I've heard, like, this guy's name tossed around, and again, I'll tell you what it is. His name, again, is Brian Bethel, so if you want to Google him, YouTube and whatever, there's all kinds of different things. He was on a show called Monsters and Mysteries in America. I tried to watch it, but I had to buy it. I don't want to buy it. I'm guessing it's the same story, only more dramatized, and add some pictures and, you know, like, videograph stuff on it. I can imagine. I watch all of the shows, like, I get it. I know what's on there, basically. And then there's also a documentary called The Black Eyed Children Let Me In. I also haven't seen this yet. I was gonna watch it before this, but again, I had to pay for it. I'm cheap. But this kid, he's just like he's like a, I want to say this nicely, he's like a beginner filmmaker. So I think this might be like his first film, or at least first movie that you can like actually purchase off Amazon or wherever you could purchase a movie. And it's out there. So I might actually buy that and just kind of watch it. Just because it's so interesting to me, but I just wanted to share his story. So that is his story. He is, or was, a reporter down in Abilene. There's my cat. There's a little loon. Down in Abilene, Texas. I believe it's Abilene, Texas. And I just think that's crazy. But honestly, the more I was hearing the story, I'm like, okay, if you don't believe in the supernatural, which like is totally fine, these kids are serial killers then. Like, these kids definitely went on to find another person who probably wasn't already in their vehicle. They probably already learned and were like, actually, we're gonna hit up the person that's just getting in their car, not paying attention, doesn't have their keys out and ready. Like, always have your keys out and ready. Don't just walk out to your car. Like, always have your keys ready. Do not just walk out to your car aimlessly with your bag open, jiggling for your keys. Like, have you watched any movie ever? Or even a guy. Like, have your stuff ready. Don't have them in your pockets and you can't pull them out quick enough because you have too many keys and too many keychains and whatever else in your pocket. Like, have them ready to go. If you have a key, have it out so you can unlock it. Most people have the little buttons now. Have that stuff, and don't unlock it too soon. As soon as you get there, unlock it, shut your door, lock it back up. Real quick. Check behind you, check the back seat before you get in the car. Just saying, these are just things people need to know. If you don't know, now you know. So, be careful. And if you're ever walking and it's dark and you're a little paranoid, a little scared, put those keys between your fingers. Make it into a fist. You know, motherfucker wish they would. Because they're going to get beat up. Well, I don't know if they really get beat up, but if I hit them one time with those keys, it's going to suck. And aim right for the eye. Get one of those keys in the eye, done. Done, son. You at least have time to run away or do something. So, that is just a little advice from Chelsie today. You're welcome. Alright, so I have a couple other stories, and these stories are kind of like, again, not that I don't believe people, but it's more so how they reacted to the situation. I'm like, whether this is true or not, that's wrong. Like, regardless of what happened, that's not how you handle the situation. So I was reading on Reddit, and I'm doing my makeup, so I'm not going to sit here and read verbatim, because they weren't that long of stories to begin with, and they're both pretty similar. So let's do some pink. We're going to do a pink and black look today, because that's just what I want to do. So there was this guy and girl, and I think they were like brother and sister. So the guy was writing it, but he said him and his sister were home alone. The parents weren't home. I think they're like teenage kids, like older teenagers. And kids, two younger kids, showed up on their doorstep while their parents were gone and was like, hey, are my parents there? Which is like such a weird thing to ask. Like, we don't even know you. Like, why would your parents be at our house? Like, that's weird. But again, little kids, people just assume, like, don't know what they're doing or what they're talking about. So I'm sure a lot of people have helped these kids and like been killed or eaten or whatever these kids actually want. I don't really know what their intention is. And honestly, maybe they're like some kind of like, I'm sure there's like a word out there for it. I don't know. Maybe they're even some kind of like, I don't want to say necessarily a demon, but it's just some kind of creature that feeds off fear. And maybe that's what it is. And people know, like, first of all, children are terrifying. Like, human children, demon children, they're all literally the worst. And then black eyes, like, what? So now you're like, okay, now you're like a demon child? Like, what's worse than that? No, I'm just kidding. I don't hate kids. I just thought that was funny. But anyway, I mean, people can pretty much agree that kids are pretty with not your kids. Okay, your kids are great. They're perfect. They're like chef's kiss, the best. Everyone else's kids, right? Yeah, you got me. You feel me? So they're everyone else's kids, which are the worst. So I'm like, they could definitely just be like creatures that want you to fear them because they literally just thrive off the fear, and besides that wouldn't actually hurt you, but you also don't want to like find out, you know? So I don't know. But anyway, so these people, they answer the door and they're like, hey, hi, like, can we help you? And they're like, are my parents there? And the kids are like, nah, dude, like, we're alone, home alone, like, we ain't got your parents here, like, they aren't here, like, go find them somewhere else. And they're like, oh, okay, well, can we use your phone? And that's what they do, too. They're always like, oh, can we use your phone? Like, they try to get in, like, they need into your house. And you have to allow them in. They can't just, like, push their way in, but they'll verbally try to manipulate you into letting them in. Wow, that was some good, look at me, freaking English major here, not really. And so they're like, no, like, you can't, like, our parents are home, we can't just be letting strangers in, not even strange little kids or whatever. So I think the kids just kept going on and on and on, making these people feel bad for them. So finally, the teenagers that own the house, or the parents own the house, they were like, okay, yeah, you can come in for a minute until our parents get home or whatever, and we can figure out like what to do with you, because they just kind of like felt bad for them. They're young, dumb, and children are non-threatening, so it's like the perfect thing for this fear-sucking demon thing to show up as or live in or whatever, what you have it. So the kids go into their house, and this is where I was like, okay, whatever, you let them in, they're kids, whatever, you're both kids, yeah, like you're teenagers, they're little kids, you felt bad for them, you were just this age like 2, 3, 4 years ago, whatever. And they said that the kids come into the house and immediately run up the stairs and start trashing upstairs. But the kids' eyes turned black. So they came in, the people felt an instant sense of fear and dread, and they looked at the kids again, their eyes turned black. I think, yeah, because if they would turn black before, they wouldn't let them in the house. And I think, too, I feel like these creatures, like, if they're real, whatever, I feel like they can almost sense if you're going to allow them in the house, because stories I've read where if the people are, like, very much so, like, no, you're not coming in my house, don't care what the problem is, you could be dying, you're not coming to my house, like, I'll call an ambulance for you, the kids' eyes will turn black, like, while they're standing on the porch or out the door or whatever. But it almost seems like if they almost feel like, oh, like, we can just keep talking and get you to let us in, then they seem like more normal until you let them in, and then their eyes turn black. And then you start to really feel a sense of, like, fear that maybe this creature, whatever, is, like, pulling from you and wanting to get from you. And so then they felt the fear, they saw the eyes, and then the kids, like, stared at them and then ran straight upstairs and started just trashing the house. And like, as I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, so you went upstairs and you beat their asses? So you went upstairs and you were like, not today, like, get out of my house. Like, first of all, no, they were like, we went and hid until our parents got home, and then the kids just, like, somehow either left the house or disappeared or something. Like, I mean, I don't know. I never had this happen. Knock on wood, never does. But it's like, I doubt, I mean, also you're teenagers, so, like, you're less, but, like, I doubt anything or anyone comes in my house and just runs upstairs and starts tearing. They said that picture frames were falling, that they heard stuff falling on the ground, and the kids were laughing and screaming and just, like, literally being the worst. And it's like, bet these kids come in my house and do that. I'm like, that, I don't, like, I'm like, what? I can't. But again, I've never been in this situation. But could you just imagine, like, please let me know down in the comments what you would do in that situation. Like, come on. Again, I'm not saying this didn't happen, I'm just saying they didn't handle it well. Because I feel like if that was a made-up story, like, why would you say that? I don't know. But also, like, did that really happen? I mean, does that, like, that's crazy. And imagine what those parents thought when they got home, and they were probably like, okay, like, you just let these kids just run up and destroy our room? Can you imagine their mom's like, and did you fight them? Like, what did you do about it? And you're like, oh, I went and hid. I bet those two teenagers had karate lessons the next day. They're like, learn to fight, learn to do something, girl, boy, whatever. Like, geez. I just thought that was funny. I read that and I'm just like, yeah, okay. Anyway, I digress from that story. I just thought that was kind of crazy. And that one just happened like within the 2000s, like not so long ago, within 20 years. And there was another one which happened back in the 70s. So like I said, this all really like took off and became a big thing because it was like one of the first, I don't know if it was like one of the first main big stories on the internet, but it was like one of the first probably like creepypasta type stories on the internet from the guy in Texas, that reporter. But there are other people that have come out since then and are like, I had a very similar situation, but this was back in the 70s, the 60s, 50s, 40s, whatever. And I'm like, that's so crazy. So there was a guy, and it was in the 70s, 1970s, and he had very similar where the kids came to his house. See, I would say that one guy, he's like one of the only people that I saw. I didn't read a ton of stories, so there are probably other people where like it happened in their car. I just haven't read those. But most of them, it happened in their house. So this other guy, he was older when it happened. I think he was like already like 30 when it happened. And these kids came to his door back in the 70s. And they were like, hey, mister, like, can we use your phone? Because obviously back then they have cell phones and stuff. And they were like, hey, can we use your phone? We need to call our parents. We are lost, da-da-da. And the guy was like, no, sorry, and he just wouldn't let him in because he said he felt very, like, weird about it. Like, the kids just seemed very strange from the start, like, as soon as he opened the door. He said they were very pale, and they looked almost, like, deathly, kind of. Like, they were almost like, I don't know, like zombies. That was not his words, those are my words. But that's just kind of what I pictured. It's very, like, pallor in color, very pale, very deathly-like. And they asked to get into his house, and he was like, no. And this was the one where I feel like they knew that he meant it, where he was like, no means no, like 100% you're not getting in my house. And so their eyes turned black while they were on the porch, not in the house yet, we're not let in. And they started freaking out, and they were like, you have to let us in your house now, da-da-da-da-da, and we're going on and on and on. And this guy was like, no, bro, like, you got the wrong one, you know, like, that's not how he talked at all, but he was like, you know, you need to get out of here, kids, like, get out of here. So he shut the door, blocked it, made sure all of his windows and doors were locked, because these kids, like, obviously own something. Like, why are they acting like this? Why are their eyes like that? Like, I don't even know. So it's just so crazy, and he just was like, nope, and he's locked everything, stayed in his house the rest of the day. He was like, want no part of it, and eventually they just left, I guess. A lot of people will say they kind of just, like, they get so freaked out, they just basically don't want to see them again, so they just, like, lock everything up, call it quits, don't want to see these kids again, and they just eventually go away. Which, I get it, that would freak me out, too. Actually, I went through and locked most of my windows and all my doors. My doors are always locked, and your windows should always be locked unless it's open, you know, because you're getting a breeze in. My window's open right now for a breeze, but most of them are always locked, whatever. But I went through and made sure I locked them all before I did this video, because I knew it was going to freak me out a little bit. So what do you think black-eyed children are, honestly? I'm just like, so that guy from Texas, I keep forgetting his name. It's literally the most simple name. It's literally Brian. So Brian's story, like, I mean, I literally, other than the black eyes and them, like, screaming, like, we can't get it unless you let us in, if you take that part out of this equation, like, these kids were definitely planning on just, like, killing him and, like, burning his body in his truck down the road away from their house and acting like they didn't do it. 100%. Like, they were definitely going to murder him. I'm just like, that's so crazy. Also, do you like my little buns? I actually got my hair cut, and colored. As you can see, nice and touched up. Ooh, honey, looking fresh. And I'm just going to keep them up because I haven't washed my hair yet because I've just been letting it go, you know, because I just got it colored. And I think it looks just kind of cute little space buns. So, yeah. Let me know down in the comments what you think about that. I think black-eyed children are so interesting. So it's like, are they demons? Are they vampires? Is it just people making up shit? Or are they like, or are these like actual kids that are like, I don't know, trying to hurt people or harm people? Or maybe they're on the internet and they see this and they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go get in someone's house and just kill them. Like, I mean, kids can be serial killers too. Like, everyone is a kid first. So, just saying. So I also have another, like, theory on this whole black-eyed children thing. So I feel like, so obviously tons of kids go missing every year and even every day. I mean, every day there's tons of kids that are being taken or go missing, and it actually is just like, I would say most child abductions are actually by people they know, but what about the kids that are being abducted by people they don't know? And it's like, what if some of these kids are actually being taken by like demonic forces? So it's like, are these black-eyed children, are they like children that have been actually abducted and taking over by something, whether that is demonic or maybe even alien, like extraterrestrial? Or are these black-eyed children just completely different beings that can almost shapeshift, so now they're shapeshifters, into a child because it knows our society trusts children more than any other type of person, and so they are just trying to use a child's body to get into our house, into our lives, and to do whatever it is you want to do with us. And that's kind of the thing too, because like the one people I said they let them in and they went upstairs and destroyed their stuff. So then it's like, okay, so if you weren't killed, they didn't attack you, so are they just here for fear? Like, again, I think whatever it is, I don't know, I don't want to call it like a demon, but I think it's some kind of being. Now, is it possessing and stealing children's bodies, or is it shapeshifting into children's bodies? But whatever it is, I think its whole goal in its life is to just scare people and to draw fear, because it feeds on fear. That is what I think it is. And then, so maybe it's like, could it be a vampire? Maybe it's a vampire. Maybe it's almost like a mythical and physical vampire, because there are like energy vampires out there. So what if these kids or shapeshifters are actually shapeshifting vampires, or children vampires that are actually there, and they don't suck blood, they just literally live off of fear? I don't know. And will we ever know? I don't know. There's just so much out there for us to learn, find out, yada yada. It's kind of crazy and definitely interesting. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think about that kind of stuff, because I'm very curious. Okay, do my lips. I just want some eyeshadow in here, and then I'm gonna just do gloss on the outside. I'm doing like a very subtle lip. Kind of doing very subtle makeup actually. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of white on the outside here. Well, actually this is like a glittery. Let's do this, it's fine. Oh, okay. It's like a white shimmer. I just wanted to keep it like very basic, very simple. Like, if you know what you're doing with some eyeshadow, you can do so many like cool things. Like, eyeshadow literally can be used for like anything and everything. Alright, I'm just flicking a little bit of this up here. It's just that very light color I put around my lips. It's like basically a highlight eyeshadow. Just very, a little bit on my nose, because why not? And we're gonna put some gloss on here. Let's add a little bit of shimmer. I need to add a little bit more to my eyes here. I need to add something. Well, actually, let's add a little bit of black. I'm just actually gonna add a little bit of black eyeshadow right here, like where I'd usually put liner. I'm gonna get some new liner here too. My friend, she's actually like a professional makeup artist. More so, we like kind of went to high school together, just kind of Facebook friends. But I like her stuff, she likes my stuff, whatever. And she has like the best eyeliner. And so I'm gonna get me some of that. I mean, not saying that I'll be able to put it on like as well as she can just because I buy it, but I'm not shabby with makeup. I mean, come on. So we're just gonna do the same on the other side here. See, I always have this end stuff, and I thought I had the perfect amount of content, but I get really into it. But that's okay. As long as I get into it and share my stuff, and those of you that want to see the end result will hang out with me for the extra 5 minutes. 5 minutes my ass. To see the end result, right? And I appreciate everyone that watches my channel. If you haven't already, go follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook page. Follow me on TikTok. I really want to post there a little bit more often, but I always feel like I have to be like full like makeup and looking real cute. you know? So, but I need to just be a little more comfortable and be able to just get on with just whatever. I mean, I literally start almost every single video without any makeup on. No one cares. And I really don't care that much. But it's like, I don't know. Alright, we're going to do a little bit of black underneath my eye because I think it'll look really cool. And then I'm going to meet it with some pink, I think. Oh, and it does. And I was right. I like it. And then I'm just meeting it with that same shimmery white color that I put a little bit above my eyebrows and then around the outer side of my lips. Not around my lips, but on the outer part of my lips. You know, I just realized I just did all of this and I didn't do any concealer. You know, sometimes you just forget things. Sometimes I just forget to use certain things, and that's fine. So my last thing, we're gonna do some highlighter in the highlighting spots. This actually looks really cute. Like, I'm really proud of this. I'm really proud of this video. Again, my makeup went out a little bit longer than everything else, but things happen. It's fine. I'm just gonna keep talking to you about my life, my day. So if you're interested, thanks for sticking around. But I really like this look. Let me know down in the comments how you feel about this look, this video. Do you like me talking about this kind of stuff? Because, well, I'm going to keep doing it. But I want to know, like, your thoughts and opinions. And I actually put a thing on my Twitter the other day and asked everyone what their favorite supernatural creature was. And I got tons of people on there with lots of great things. Some stuff I never heard of. So that's why I asked that, because I like when people answer with things that I haven't heard of. And then I go look it up and I do some research on it because it's so interesting. And yeah, I have like a whole thing on my Pinterest now. It's like supernatural creatures and all kinds of stuff. Like, it's just so interesting to me. I already look into this kind of stuff and watch these videos from other people, but I want to create them. I mean, are they as good? I don't know. Who knows? But at least I'm doing it. I'm having fun, living my best life. Literally looking so cute with this makeup look, at least I think. So yeah, alright, well, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you liked the look. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments if you think that these are aliens that are, and maybe it's aliens. Oh, I forgot to even say that. Like, what if it's aliens? Well, I think I mentioned it, but what if it's aliens and they feed off our fear? I mean, they're definitely out there. Are they black-eyed children though? I don't think so. Or are they a demon? Or is it some kind of spirit? Or are they ghost children? Are these children being abducted and taken over? Or are these shapeshifters? Are they vampires? You let me know down in the comments, and if you have any type of resources or links or videos other people have done that you were like, you need to watch this because it's amazing, link it all down below. I want to see it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you guys next week.